Good morning, everyone. My name is Benjamin, and welcome to our weekly updates of our election model, as well as the monthly update of my personal model. And I'm also going to cover, since we're starting to actually get into the real swing of things, especially with Biden announcing his candidacy last week, I'm going to talk about what I think are the 10 most likely battlegrounds for the 2020 election, 5 for each side that can be used as potential pickups. And this is going to be relative to the 2016 election. So these are going to be states that weren't carried by that party, but were very close to being carried, as well as states that I think are going to be competitive in this coming cycle. Anyway, so as we can see, currently Trump is actually polling well enough to where we can reasonably expect that Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania will all be in play. Michigan and Wisconsin are the ones that kind of teeter on the edge. Pennsylvania has been fairly even in his column for a little bit now. Looking at my model, this is partially because if we go all the way down to here and then scroll across, he's sitting at a reasonable only negative 7.25 approval rating net, and there's 2% undecided. It's not inconceivable that that winds up getting split or slightly favoring Donald Trump. Undecided vote tends to break towards the Republicans somewhat slightly, so that shouldn't be that much of a shock. I think for now I'm going to keep incumbency where it is until we get more polling. And the economic factor I've dropped a decent amount, as it was leading to, I think, some erroneous reports, and this is consistent with what I've wanted to do in decreasing the effect of some of these, quote, fundamental aspects of the forecast as we get more polling. So my model thinks we're going to get an exact repeat. Personally, I disagree. I think Michigan and Wisconsin are both going to be very close. I'm tilting them to the Democrats simply because I am not 100% sure on those. Pennsylvania, I have a little bit higher confidence in. And remember, this is a confidence margin. Anything I list as a tilt is a true toss-up. Something that I'm not entirely positive. Interestingly enough, Virginia, I'm dropping down a little bit. Delaware should be there. New Jersey should be there. New York should be there. Go. And as you can see, my confidence oftentimes differs from what we've come to expect in terms of the percentage, because you look at a state like Georgia, which is going to be at around about 5%, and I'm pretty confident about that, even though 5% isn't all that much in the grand scheme of things. And, you know, that's just because I find it's going to be difficult for the Democrats to actually expand the map into Georgia, especially if they actually want to pursue a strategy of trying to flip back these 3 Rust Belt states. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and clear the map and change this to paint and add a yellow color. There we go. So I'm just going to highlight all these states that in the direction that they went in 2016. And then talk about where the battlegrounds are generally going to be. So, starting with the potential GOP pickups, they're going to want to play some. They're going to want to attack in New Hampshire, in Minnesota, in Virginia, in Nevada, in Maine. And this is kind of small, 35 electoral votes between those states. But those are the most likely pickups for them. In addition, they're going to still need to compete in states that they won, but somewhat narrowly, say a Wisconsin, a Michigan, a Pennsylvania, a Florida, and Arizona, which Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Arizona, and North Carolina are my potential Democratic pickups. I'm going to throw Florida in as well, but that's just because it's a perennial swing state. And this shows a somewhat lopsided edge to the Republicans, which is a little interesting. But these are going to be where our battlegrounds are going to pop up in 2020. Yes, Ohio and Iowa are going to be fought after. You may see the Democrats try and make a play for a Texas or a Georgia, but those are pretty baked in at this point, unless things change dramatically. All four of these are pretty much going to go towards the Republicans. So it's really about winning in these swing states. And you can play around with any map and figure out what a potential winning combination looks like, but it needs to make some sense. For example, you can't have Virginia going red and North Carolina going blue. That's just not something that that's not something that would happen. If you have Virginia going red, North Carolina is more than likely already in the Republican column. And if North Carolina is blue, then Virginia probably went to the Democrats. However, if you split it like this, that's a perfectly reasonable outcome. Florida tends to go with the incumbent, so we're going to go ahead and put it in Donald Trump's column for now. If you have Donald Trump winning in Nevada, he's probably won Arizona. However, if you have the Democrat winning Arizona, they definitely won Nevada. Minnesota, if you're having it as a Republican state, obviously you have to highlight all of those. And it seems likely that this would be the order. So Pennsylvania, you can have it go Republican without any of the others. Wisconsin, Pennsylvania more than likely went to the Republicans, but there is some leeway. Michigan would only go after both Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, unless something weird happens in the local dynamic. Minnesota would be the last Rust Belt state to go, unless you want to count Illinois as a Rust Belt state. New Hampshire is one of those, if it's going red, yeah, it would do that on its own. Maine would need New Hampshire, so you can't have a blue New Hampshire and a red Maine. So, those are kind of my quick little thoughts on 2020, as well as my model and my own personal forecast. I'll go ahead and show my personal forecast one more time. Just so that everybody can see it. And there we go. Oops. Forgot North Carolina real quick. It happens. So, nothing much has changed, but I have dropped Virginia's rating down to lean rather than likely. Nothing else has changed. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoy. I'll see you guys next time. Take it easy. Bye.